Good evening. I'd like to call the Thursday, April 13th, 2023 Douglas Planning Board meeting to order. Present we have myself, Mr. Schultzberg, Mr. Sokrat, Mr. Schlussman, Mr. Marks, and Mr. Greco. First item on the agenda is accessory apartment extension 174 South Street, possible votes. Anyone here for that? Probably not. Mr. Benoit, how are we looking on it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a standard extension. This extension is set to expire this month. Meets all the criteria. Still has a relative of blood relation living in the unit and is under the 900 square foot threshold. I had no issues with this extension.
Board, any questions, comments?
Status quo.
Entertain a motion to accept the accessory extension for 174 South Street.
I'll make a motion, we grant the accessory apartment.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Marks, seconded by Mr. Sokrat. Any further discussion? No one's online. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Moving right along. Bond estimate, Mr. Benoit, for
Mr. Chairman, we do not have our feedback from our peer review consultant for this item.
okay. Right down. Letter from Open Space Committee.
Mr. Chairman, we received a request from the Secretary of the Open Space Committee, Becky Gallagher. She is, the Open Space Committee has submitted its OSRP, its Open Space and Recreation Plan, to the state for its approval. There will be a comment period where they come back with some comments and we have to revise it again. But they're just looking for some letters of support from boards and commissions, including us. So what I provided, if you would either take this home or whatever it is you need to do to review the open space plan if you haven't already. And we're just looking for a motion to support or provide endorsement for the open space plan on behalf of the planning board.
I know I did start looking at it. There is a link on their webpage through like the town's website to look at it as well. It's a lengthy read.
200 plus pages.
200?
Yes.
Question, you said it's getting submitted to the state. Is this like a requirement that towns have a plan like this? Okay,
Yes, it makes us eligible for certain grants
okay. Awesome.
every 7 years. We have to do this.
It's a lot of paper.
Yeah.
How much, I'm sorry,
Through the chair, I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry, through the chair, how often does this change?
They're valid for a period of 7 years. So
I mean, like from year to year, are we putting things in, taking things out, or?
I'd say the most important part of the OSRP, aside from setting goals and what the community wants to do, is the inventory. And it gives you an inventory of all the town-owned properties, anything that's in chapter, anything that's deemed open space or not developed. So your inventory table changes the most if there's transfer and ownership or it's developed or not. So that's the part I tend to look at the most. But that also sets goals for recreation and you know, sports programs or what we're going to do with our open lands. Preservation, of course.
Did you have a question?
Yes, it says that we have to submit a letter, it's required from the selectmen and the planning board.
Yes, we are one of those that are
We don't
required.
want to let them down,
Correct.
we should.
That's true. Through the chair, the deadline for that is May 4th, so we do have another meeting if we want to take the time to
Yeah.
review them.
Yeah, at least give those interested an opportunity to read it. And
Yes.
we'll put that on for the agenda for next meeting.
May I, through the chair, you talked about inventory, you know, what's owned by the town, what's not, you know, what's in foreclosure or the town is taking. Does it actually give a value assessment to properties? Because it can give us a sort of a ratio of what is missing in our tax base if things are not.
Oh, I forget if there's a value there. I don't think so. I think the only numerical value I saw was acreage. Okay. I don't remember seeing
But
dollars.
that's something the selectmen, they might have, or the town manager.
Of course. Yeah, and to your point through the chair, it doesn't cover like foreclosures or anything like that. All it does is just anything that is deemed open space or agricultural or forestry or owned by the town for recreational purposes. Just those.
But it might give acreage and percentages of the town. you know, what
Acreage, yeah.
percentage is, you know, lakes and streams, and the others, what's the state forest, and,
Yes, yeah, it has that information, not in the table, but throughout the document.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll bring that up at the next meeting to, and that's just a letter you'll have to type up to them. once we
Yes, in
vote.
fact, I could probably have it draft ready for next meeting if you want.
I think we'd be fine with a draft of approval, because at least we have something to pick apart if it's, we gotta add, but it seems simple enough where we can just look at a draft and make a change if need be.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Okay. 61A letter for 34 Hemlock Street. Speaking of open space,
Mr. Chairman, this is one of those properties that would be on that inventory table. So, this is in private ownership right now, I'm pulling it up on the screen. This is 34 Hemlock Street, approximately 50 acres of property. I believe this is transferring out of 61A and onto the regular tax roll. So, state law says that the town gets the first right of refusal to purchase this property. In fact, they're going out to sell it or take it out of 61A classification.
Which parcel?
It is the large parcel right
in the minute.
here.
There's only one access point?
Correct.
It's right after the wooden bridge that they just replaced. That's right on the corner.
So
Yeah, the old Cathwell.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit just to get our bearings a little. So this is South Street heading towards Rhode Island here. This different coloration is Rhode Island. So this is right on the edge for the most part. Hemlock Street's the last right-hand turn as you're heading into Rhode Island, so Hemlock here, right up to the property here. Most of it's wooded. There is a house with, I believe, some field, or maybe this used to be a farm or something.
Yeah, there's some ponds and stuff.
So, yeah, a couple of structures there. So I guess, yeah, if you have any questions, I have to answer them, but it's up to the board if they want to decide to recommend the town purchase or the town not purchase.
Wetlands on the property, how's that, are you able to pull that up with that layer?
Good chance that a lot of this property has never been surveyed, but some of it came up.
I know there is that brook that goes kind of near there.
You could tell by the contours, those U shapes, you could tell that something was there. So that makes sense.
That might have connected and they raised that land over time for shows and stuff.
Well, with the Open Space Committee and their newly made document, I have a feeling that they might be interested in this.
We have 120 days.
Yeah.
The selectman has that much time to decide. I think it's got to be still over 100 days to have.
Now, what is, excuse me, through the chair, in planning, you look for adjacency of other open spaces where you can find opportunity to create great big tracts of land. Is there anything that is adjacent to it in our town that would make it more desirable for the town to own it? Like, is there walking paths near it? Is there another brook? Is there another pond near? I mean, I'm just, just bringing up items that are, just because it's in the middle of everybody doesn't mean we should own it.
Yeah. I don't think there's any public recreation trails to my knowledge in there from when I lived in that neighborhood. I would just be curious if there's any abutting properties that are owned by the town. Looks like they're all developed for the most part,
We're
but,
all private ownership. There's no town property.
so it's essentially a landlocked from other access points.
Right.
For the chair, is there a percentage of open space that we're required to have as a town to be able to apply for certain grants or things like that through the state, or?
Through the chair, not a certain percentage. It's just, we just have to have the inventory in the open space plan. that doesn't have a threshold.
With the chair, is Douglas State Forest considered open space?
Yes, all of those tracks are.
We have a lot of open
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So the two things, that, for me, just in my opinion, Mr. Chairman, is there's no public water, no public sewer in this area. If the town were to consider this for any sort of recreation purpose, it's going to need a water tank, pretty serious well for irrigation or whatever you need to do.
My thing, I think the Open Space Committee's plan, if they were to get this, would probably be making walking trails.
We also don't have to vote on it tonight.
Yeah.
Time, so it's just.
Yeah, I personally just don't think it's strategic.
No.
I mean, there are so many trails in this town, so many.
Yeah, I'm not that interested in it, but I think we'll wait till a full board to at least support her and to at least vote on it, I would think. He said we don't have, there's no immediate rush to vote on it. All right.
Are you talking about acquiring it for open space? Is that what you're?
Well, I think that the Open Space Committee would probably be interested in getting
But,
that.
I mean, they have no budget.
Yeah.
It's nothing that they could ever.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of developable land.
Yeah,
I don't think they could ever raise the money to buy
No.
it anyway. The town certainly, if you're talking about building a school or fire station or new town hall, something like that, usually that's when the
Well,
town gets interested in a piece of property. But for open space, I can't imagine the town would ever approve purchasing a piece of property that's worth
Through the
hundreds of
chair,
thousands of dollars for development.
I don't know if you heard me, I just was saying I don't particularly think it's strategic to the town.
No, it's not, yeah.
That's all.
I'm agreeing with you, yeah.
yeah.
It'd be nice, but I can't see it ever happening.
Yeah, for point of order on it, I would probably just wait for a full board to
Yes.
fully vote on it. But it doesn't sound that good. Moving along. Subdivision regs, I see we have that in our packet. Do you want to probably skip over that until we have a full board to have a full-on discussion about issues and,
I tend to prefer that, but it's totally up to the board.
I prefer that as well.
anyone like to talk about subdivision regulations or table for next time?
Wait,
Keep that in the packet for next time.
1975.
Okay. Ongoing development, any updates besides the bolded one from 93 Davis?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. And so 93 Davis Street, we have a letter from the building department, Ken Frazier. He had gone out at our request and issued a letter based on his response to there, and also forwarded it to the Board of Selectmen. I'll give the board a minute to read it.
If I may, my take on this is that he was asked about public safety. He answered about, he has no problem with the binder course not being a problem with architectural access, meaning handicapped accessibility. He has no problem with that, but he does have a problem, or at least suggesting that the catch basin drainage is not working as designed without that vinyl coat. So he was asked about public safety, he wasn't asked about drainage, so he answered public safety is okay. Is that how you take it? Mr. Chair? Chair? Anybody?
I find this very
Chair.
confusing.
Mr. Chairman, the way I see it is similar to what Mr. Sokrat just said.
Yeah.
He answered the safety question first, that he doesn't have concerns about safety, but he just flagged to us that there is a stormwater issue over there. Mr. Frazier, in talking to me, he knows he doesn't have the jurisdiction over the stormwater piece of it, but he just wanted to bring it to our attention. And I think you actually brought it up last meeting, because of the raised basins, obviously, they're not working the way they're supposed to. So, in my opinion, that's only a burden on the property owner. And any
abutting owners if there's stormwater flow, but that's a civil matter that's leaving the site that they're not supposed to be discharging if that's the case. In the absence of Mrs. Wicker, who brought the original motion to this table to send this letter, and in the absence of Ms. Sharkey as well, I think it'd be better to at least finish this conversation with Mr. Zwicker.
Yeah, have it on the agenda for next meeting.
I think so.
Through the chair, to Matt, where is the, for context, have we seen the letter that went to the owner? You probably have.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not in your packets. I apologize.
Right, so I don't have the
Tracy
context.
and Jake have seen it.
What do you think, Mr. Chair?
I don't know if I've seen it.
I thought I'd put you on that table.
Because it should be in context, we should be,
You're absolutely right. I apologize for that, but I did send it out.
because there should be some teeth on, I mean, they should get it done.
Yeah.
At some point, we gotta have some.
Oh,
She's hired a new engineer.
that engineer has also provided an update.
Good,
Oh.
that is important as well.
Yes. They did a bunch of survey work. They're getting ready to put the machine on and draw the design. So he came up with, they asked me for the turning radius for the fire engine. I got it from the fire department, sent it over to them. So they're actively working on this. And they've been in touch with our office multiple times in the last 2 weeks.
Still looking for the drive-through. That's what they're gonna drive for.
Yep.
What is this? This is a very confusing little memo, these four sentences here. What is he actually saying?
He-
The building inspector.
If I may, Mike,
Yeah.
Chair. He was asked a question about public safety, and that's his jurisdiction as the building inspector, enforcement officer. And so he said in the second line that his opinion is that he finds no architectural access board compliance issues, meaning there is no safety issues, but he just didn't say to the average person, he said to handicapped accessibility per the Mass Architectural Access Board, which is the Architectural Access Board. So he has it's no problem right now, he's saying for safety issues. But he's pointing out that there's a catch basin drainage issue because there is no final pavement. So in a nutshell, he says it's okay for public safety. This is what I'm thinking about. In a nutshell.
So I'll ask the question, just so maybe we can research it. Does anybody have the enforcement or like ability to monitor or do anything with the catch basin issues?
In my opinion, we kind of lost that without a bond.
Yeah.
At this point, it would be whether or not someone raised a complaint. That could be the town, if it's town property that's abutting it, or if we're finding washout in our roadways, it could be a private landowner, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
If it's significantly impacting somebody else's property with a problem, then it's an issue.
Right.
But, I mean, it's probably puddling because the top coat's not there, so it's probably puddling when it reaches the night, then it goes into the catch basin. It's not an issue. It's not a big deal. When the top coat gets put on, it'll all slow towards the
It's a big deal for their clients who have to
Yes.
step into a puddle. That's
Right.
about it, but
And
that's their
those
business.
puddles could make potholes. Potholes become safety issues, and it could come back to Kent. So that's at their own risk at
If
this
it
point.
becomes that issue, then that's when we have to act on it.
Right.
But it does seem like they're moving forward with a possible, another plan to come in front of us. So at least we know now when that comes forward if it does,
Right. I will
that we might
review-
have some options.
Like, through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Sokrat, I have the letter that I sent to Mr. Fraser the day after our last meeting. I'm just going to read it because it was the motion. The letter I sent was at its meeting on March 23rd, 2023, the Douglas Planning Board voted to request an opinion from the building inspector with regards to public safety of the unfinished parking lot property 93 days. That was our
Pretty
motion.
concise.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
And I CC'd this letter.
Yeah, and he did as well.
Yes.
So just in his opinion, it seems like the only issue is drainage not properly working based on how it was designed, but it's really on her and her property's issue.
Yeah, so long as he doesn't see safety issues. Correct.
Yeah. All right, well, sure, we'll bring it up next meeting. Well, we'll put it on for next meeting. And is there any, Matt, do you think there's anything else to bring to that meeting? just maybe we can nip this in the butt really and try to be done with it if we can be done with it.
Maybe we get more from the engineer, but I think this letter kind of
Yeah,
accomplished that. As long as we don't have safety concerns, that's the big deal.
yeah. And we already know that we have
But it's not.
there's no bond, can't do anything.
Right, but we don't have a bond. We can't hold a bond and make them fix it. So that's it, to me.
Through the chair, I think coming back, we discussed a minor modification.
No, it wouldn't be a minor. I think it would be a whole new plan because it's a whole new special permit for a
Drive-through.
drive-through.
Oh,
If that's what they want, as a drive-through, that's a whole special, another special
until we
permit.
see something that's not done.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Staff updates, anything?
I don't have any.
Signatures are going around, I see them there. Ernie, did you get to them? We'll probably just leave those with Jen to reach out to the other two to come in to sign them.
Okay.
Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
If you can just make it.
Oh,
Motion made.
I'll second the motion.
well, that's what I did. Oh, you hadn't made it yet?
He wasn't making it.
Thinking out loud.
So, motion made by Mr. Sokrat, second by Mr. Marks. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.
I'll take your